Hey guys, all right. So if you noticed the last video that I made, I'm starting to get back into looking into the theory of evolution, Darwinism, um, as well as intelligent design. So I watched these debates 10, 15 years ago, long time ago. I'm a curious guy. That's why I'm aware of like flat Earth. Uh, I've checked everything and anything I can get my hands on, except for vegan documentaries. Um, I'm open-minded and I dive into it as much as I can. So I really wasn't a Christian. Did believe in God, but evolution didn't really affect my belief in God or not. And so yeah, and I really didn't think of it that much. I started watching these debates of between intelligent design, debates with evolutionists, does God exist, with atheism, all of these things. And the more that I would see these debates, various people, sometimes like full on, Christian that that's debating an evolutionist using the Bible. But there are some like very, academic discussions with academics and well-known, credible people that, are university PhDs and stuff like that, that adopt to intelligent design as well. I've been looking a little bit into it again, and I could say that I'm thoroughly convinced of intelligent design. And I was shocked because these debates, when I first expected, and I had no like real skin in the game. I didn't need evolution to be false. I went in believing it, but just not knowing much more than anybody else. Like, oh yeah, we evolved. Yeah, like we evolved. That's it. Probably don't know all the terms and the probably didn't read the origin of species, the theory of natural selection. Kind of like just take it as the gospel. It's like, yeah, there's a sun, there's a moon, and we, billions of years, and we evolved from them. All right, good enough for me. So I need to really, really study up, start binge watching these, all that I can get on this debate. I need to take a little bit of a break from vegan talk, or even interacting or watching the vegans. JD is a stronger man than me. It wears me down, and it really pulls me away from concentrating on spirituality. At work, I have two scientific publications that God, I hope they get published. It's taking way too long, but that's pulling me away, and everything's just kind of like pulling me away, getting me into a rut. And I have to dive back into the Bible. If I'm not in the zone, if I haven't been walking the walk as I should, you'll see I ain't going to be doing any Christian videos, because most of my Christian videos, you'll tell, um, that I'm passionate. It's just coming out. It's pouring out of me when I'm speaking in the Christian videos, and I'm not always high there, with the Spirit. I'm not. I get pulled back into worldly things, worldly problems, and so I have some stuff that I'm dealing with. I'm trying to get back into the Bible and start focusing a little bit more on on my faith, and a little bit less with all the crazy stuff and explosions in my life that are happening on every level, from economic, health, um, issues with my kid. Um, that's 17 and a half. Been a hard time. My wife's health. I say financial and work. It's a good part, like, but it also takes a lot because I do lectures. I teach for the college clinical rotations and stuff like that. Lots of stuff, but I just needed a break from veganism just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I need to learn a lot more on this topic. And I figure instead of me watching all the time, like, hours and hours and hours of these debates or these lectures on it, I think a good method is that I allow open panel and we watch, maybe sometimes longer amounts or shorter amounts of these debates. And I'm going to appeal to authority. I rather have a PhD in something from Oxford, and by a biochemist and some kind of PhDs in things, and maybe if they say that, because if they have tenor, they have to watch out what they say, because if they say stuff that's not true or it cannot be proven in a way, they can't back up their claims. That's not very good for somebody in the scientific community and university academics. So I think that if we start looking at these guys, I'm going to start learning. I'm going to start remembering. But all I know is that 15 to 10 years ago, even before, completely giving myself, God was just like, yeah, I believe there's a God. Nothing much deeper than that. I watched these debates and there was no bias because I had no side. And in fact, I was biased against the theist side that were claiming creation and intelligent design. I was like, okay, watch these guys, stupid Christians. They're going to look stupid and they're going to come on and they're going to get completely squashed by these, smart people. And I was shocked. I was shocked over and over and over. It was what changed my mind about evolution. But I have not done the homework to be able to sit here and have responses to everything. But my overall examination, which isn't profound enough for me to have assimilated it into my worldview, and to be able to then just be naturally have a discussion and express it in my own ways. I want to give it a few months, and so I'm going to mix it up, but you're going to see a lot more videos on intelligent design and as well as evolution. Like, okay, what are the facts really? What does the theory of evolution have, and what has it proven, and go from there. I'm going to say hi to Margaret. She got the gold medal for attendance, arriving first with a close second by His Highness. And I believe we have Inspired Wilderness Mentoring. Hey guys, thanks for coming on. We're going to be talking about evolution and intelligent design a little bit. Vegans are the dark vortex. They zap your energy. Yes. Giving self, laugh my butt off. Biased, laugh my butt off. Yeah, well, I'm definitely biased because I'm convinced on what side, but I'm open-minded to be convinced. The problem is that the debates, I don't know, they were not presenting, like they were just kind of like actually just using that, like, you're an idiot to believe that, we're scientists. And I don't know, I was like, okay, well, spit out the facts. Like, I want to reinforce my belief in evolution. Like, come on, spit it out. Like, teach us. Like, you guys are the priests of science here, and I want to learn something. I want to be like, oh, well, then that's true. That's it. Really convincing. I've seen nothing convincing. Need a psychology degree with those people. Yes. You hear carp, sorry to offend, but you said it. You hear crap? I'm not sure. Then easy to put me down. What the F ever. Love you, bud. Let's go live. you are not so wrong, man. Was you just said what I tech what tech I know. If you don't like it here, leave. Um, yeah, inspired wilderness mentor. I've always had a little bit of trouble. Um, let me try what he. So he says. Well, oh, you said it, Margaret. Need a sec, because that one made sense. Yeah, here, crap. Sorry to offend, but you said it. Then easy to put me down. I don't know what you said to put you down. I love you too, bud. Let's go live. We are live. Man, what you said was I teach what had um, you ate great. Do not think that I hate, even when I do, but is what I prove. Maybe it's not his first language. Inspired wilderness mentoring, so he's like kind of like trying to express it in English. Maybe that's why it's a little hard to understand. Sorry for Google non-spell correct. Yeah, so I think he speaks some other language, so it's hard. I don't think he's trying to put me down, but okay, just ask. Are you? Oh, are you doing? Look, here's an invite, guys. Feel free to pop on. But I do want to go through the video as well. Free to join. What I'll do now is we're just going to start looking at the video. I'm going to try that one, present screen. It's always a little bit harder when I present it this way because there's a little box and sometimes you'll get, ooh, this is different. Okay. Group layout, press Shift 3. So as long as I'm not bending, okay, I shouldn't be bending that way. I just don't want to cover my face and stuff like that. All right, so let's just start watching a little bit of the video. Stephen C. Meyer. So Stephen's received a PhD in the philosophy of science from the University of Cambridge. He's a former geophysicist and college professor. He now directs Discovery Institute's Center for Science and Culture in Seattle. He has authored the New York Best Times seller Darwin's Doubt, The Explosive Origin of Human Life, and the Case for Intelligent Design. He also wrote Signature in a Cell, DNA and the Evidence for Intelligent Design. Over here, Return of the God Hypothesis. So he's an author, and he's he's a geophysicist and also philosophy and science. So he's a lot smarter than me. So I am appealing to authority, all right? Because when I come on here and try and talk, I have no authority, especially in the text. You saw like today's video, me giving my, kind of sloppy thoughts on evolution. Somebody in the comments was texting stuff, and I was like, man, like I hate texting long things, like debating on stuff and trying to defend it. So I invited the guy on. I was like, look, I'll do a live stream. Hopefully I'll see that person. We can talk face to face. So let's do it. Let's hope we don't get a strike, guys. I just started it here, okay? It'll, as we go forward, you'll see what I'm trying to show you.
Of the breeder doing the selecting. What if, for example, up there in the far north of Scotland, there's a series of very cold winters so that all but the very woolliest of the sheep die off? And so only the woolliest ones can breed and pass on that woolly trait to the next generation. What's going to happen? Well, you get a slightly woollier group of offspring. And if that continues, say, over 20 generations, you're going to have a very woolly breed of sheep.
Now, when you grab like I mentioned this in my first video, okay? The way people did this, let's say breeding the dogs and stuff like that, they wanted a certain characteristic, they kept on recoupling the dogs with that, and then after within their, so they have like dominant and recessive expressions, And by seeing an animal that expressed long hair, let's say dominantly, well, they'll do that. And then it just becomes a variation within the species. Okay. And this is not from natural selection. This is from intelligent selection. You have a farmer or a breeder that is looking at characteristics and breeding and keep on breeding these characteristics, and that is somebody who is not naturally selecting traits. They are intellectually doing that. So speciations is possible.
And so now
Variations within the species is possible.
you get the same outcome. You get a very woolly breed of sheep in a very cold climate. So the sheep are well adapted to the environment, but the adaptation wasn't produced by an intelligent designer. It wasn't produced artificially by the breeder. It was produced by nature. Nature did it, the change in the environment. So that's the idea of natural selection, okay? And so natural selection is understood by the Darwinians to be a strictly natural process. It's not a God-guided process. The whole point of natural selection is you get rid of the breeder.
It's on 1.25, so let me know if that's too fast.
Rid of the intelligent guidance. And so this is what Gould is talking about. This third meaning of evolution is affirming a kind of undesigned process. And Darwin himself was quite explicit about this. He says, there seems to be no more design in the variability of organic beings and in the action of natural selection than in the course in which the wind blows. It's just nature doing its thing over a long period of time. Okay, do you feel the force of that argument? That's the Darwinian view. That's why
there seems to be no more design in the variability of organic beings and in the action of natural selection than we in the course in which the wind blows. Now, don't forget the amount of technology that Darwin had. First of all, he was just like on a boat and he saw a bunch of finches with varying sized beaks, okay, and shapes, and said that there are variations, and that over a long period of time, these things could just create complete new body systems. So he would be looking at a cell under a microscope, and it would look probably like a little blob, little jelly. Doesn't look complex at all. Now we have microscopes that can penetrate, and we realize that there's literal factory with cars, with vehicles, that there's information, there's code, there's gears, there's motors, there's drive. It's an insane microcosm in there. It's a complete factory with gears, motors, electrical grid. This is the blob that he would have seen. If Darwin knew what we know now, he would have never said his theory.
People like Richard Dawkins say things like this. He says that biology is the study of complicated things that give the appearance of having been designed for a purpose.
I like that. It's like, talk about the quote in the Bible where it says, everyone can see the glory of God in what he has created. Okay? The intelligent design is screaming at you, hey, somebody made it. Hey, there's somebody that made this. Hey, maybe go check that book too. So it doesn't prove maybe that it's a Christian God. But I looked around, okay, when I look at a bronchial tree, when science was starting, the greatest minds that advanced science, and many of them were Christians, they were theists. And the idea was that they saw the amazing symbiotic systems and complexities, and how, they just said, well, if God created this, then we should study uh, the world, the physics, and this is how this was the motivation. It came initially not with an atheistic worldview. It came in with the Christian worldview, believing that there is a God that created everything with a purpose, that he is intelligent, logical, and rational and moral, and that you could see that you'd have to lie to yourself. You guys can look at the computers, look at the phone, look at the electricity, look at everything that we've created. And then after you realize, wow, it's way, way, way more complicated than that, because all of my fancy stuff here in a little blob, the simplest of cell, is a city, an industry. There's cars driving away. There's all sorts of mechanisms, highly, highly complex in these simple little cells. So if you look at images of a bronchial tree, all right, I want to get a nice one. Okay, this is our lungs, right? And it's a bronchial tree, we call it. Okay, in medicine. How beautiful that is. So these are molds and stuff of the lung, but it's a pretty complex system, the lung. And it's a tree, guys. It is a damn tree that is inside of our chest. It receives oxygen, and that oxygen goes right to the itty bitty tips. Okay, this just shows the bronchial. This is the bronchus, the bronchioles are smaller. It doesn't actually show all around this, the alveolar, those air sacs. We're just really looking at the airway, the bronchial tree. It takes the oxygen all the way here to the tip and diffuses into our blood, and the CO2 comes up here and it's exhaled. Now, our tree sucks oxygen, gives out CO2. The other tree that's inverted, that we walk around and see, well, it does the opposite. It sucks in CO2 and it gives out oxygen. I look at this, and I work in science, and I work in the hospital, and I see the complex biological systems, and I see these things. I stare at this and I'm like, it's a freaking tree. It's an inverted tree that does the opposite of the other one. It's so beautiful and amazing. And that gives glory to God. And it says in the Bible, no one is without excuse. Let me even quote it over here. My mouse. I hate doing this. I lost my mouse. Let's see. I want to get just one specific one so this doesn't take for an hour here. Bible passages. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. Here you go. Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power, and his divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. Okay? Because for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities. So I see this. I admit this. When I look at things, and then I look at human beings, how we're different from animals in our level of consciousness, and we can contemplate in eternity. We have eternity, the desire for eternity in our heart. We have morals, we have ethics, We have compassion, empathy. We can contemplate the universe. We can contemplate the creator, because all of God's invisible qualities, you know where a lot of them are? They're in you and they're in me, because we are made in the image of God, whatever the heck that means. I think it means a lot of things. We have the visible Yahweh, the eternal Son, the one that has theophanies, that appears, the one now that was incarnated, that we refer to as Jesus. But he's the Son of Man from the Old Testament. He is the Son of God. He is the one that approaches the Ancient of Days. He's the one that is given dominion and power. So, yes, the visible Yahweh, Jesus Christ. That's why we look the way we look. We also have a conscience. God put a moral compass within us. Now, through sin, through rejecting God, living hedonistically, being unmoral, your conscience can become sick. You can, like a liver, you can use that compass and you can not take care of it, and it can become diseased, and then you have lost that moral compass. We spoke about atheists, how of course atheists, they can be moral. They can say rape is bad, that child abuse is bad, that stealing's bad, it's not moral. They have morality. All humans have this morality that they know innately. It's just they know it. And if you believe in God, then you can explain why you know that. You can explain why morality exists. It's just one of God's invisible qualities that we see over here. The atheists, though, their worldview comes from a godless explosion of nothingness into everything. There's no good really or evil. There's just blind indifference. What happens, happens, and it's just processes. We live in a almost infinite void in space on a little speck. Again, giving us that image that, like, what are you? Like, you're nothing in this almost infinite universe with suns and galaxies. You're just a speck on a little blue speck. And there's nothing here after life. And really, there's no meaning to life. It's survival of the fittest. There's a Proverbs that says, what a man thinks, so he is. So if you tell people that there is a God, that you're made in his image, that his invisible qualities can be seen through you as a God imager, that your ability to have compassion, compassionate, empathy, courage, love, understanding hate, all of these concepts, this is not something that animals do. So in a way, our space suit here, our fleshy suit that the soul, our spirit and soul lives and animates, that's the real us, right? And yeah, it is made of similar parts with other animals, right? So yeah, I do admit that we live in the physical realm where God created all sorts of different creations. And for the animals, though we are higher, we do have animalistic vehicles, but it's the image of God within us. And that is why we can communicate through logic, rationality. We can feel empathy. We have the ability to unite in a sacred union and commitment towards each other and God, and then have intercourse and create a child. And this is a tiny symbolic image of what God is to us. And now we must be God's image, raising those children. It's just beautiful. I'm on a tangent now. But anyways, all that to say is you look out there, okay, and you see insanely complex designs. We see information and coding on a genetic and DNA level. We have an instruction manual that says what to do. But this all happened when nothing created everything, when the magical billions and billions of years happened, and the elements and the rocks and the gases on the periodic table suddenly, produced something that was living and reproducing and was developing a certain amount of sentience or consciousness. Because I can show you how mold, slime, bacteria are highly complex, and they have a certain level of intelligence. Let's get back. I'll put down Meyer here. Just want us to make sure that we're still streaming. Oh, okay, 6 people here. Let's see who joined. This is because I don't have the mouse there, so it's annoying. Stop screen. All right, just gonna want to say hello to anybody else. Okay, my apologies. Yeah, thanks for coming to my defense, Margaret. Yeah, it sounds wilderness mentoring, but I think it's really just a language barrier. I've seen this person here several times. Usually not a troll. Learned how to invertimento voice yet? He had 9. Okay, I gotta go down a little bit more. Sorry. Just mumbling stuff. I'm going to stop here for a second, and I'm just going to mumble a little bit. He sure does talk fast. Is it me that's talking fast? Because I can slow down the video. I put it at 1.25. So if wildness mentoring has it's not his first language, you might appreciate having it slowed down. Jason, I think Inspired wants to go on air. Yeah, all right. I already put an invite up there before, I thought. Here you go. Anybody can pop on. Oops, sorry. This is what happens when you don't have a mouse. It becomes very fun trying to copy and paste. Yeah, come on, anybody. You'll pop into the studio. What I'm going to do... okay. What up, Margaret?
Hi,
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just going to go quickly. I have a story to tell you. True story that really happened.
Okay.
We had moved into this place on Sherbrooke Street
Okay.
at 6662 Sherbrooke West.
All
And
right.
my daughter freaked out because it had 3 6s, and I told her it's just a number like Friday. Anyways, I liked the apartment, but even when the sun was shining, it was kind of dark and heavy.
Okay.
We painted it, everything. One night I wake up because the bed is shaking, and it's my husband,
Okay.
and he has all the blankets and the pillows like he's on an island. I go,
Yes.
John, what are you doing? And he says, it's coming after me. And I go, what? Because I'm figuring he's dreaming.
Yeah.
And then I see like this furry, slinky thing coming up the bed.
What?
It's not our cat,
Okay,
but like,
I'd be already out the door in the front. That
no,
would have
I
been like
got
an
really,
immediate
really
thing.
upset and angry because like my sleep is disturbed and I need my sleep because like I'm
Yeah.
in bed at 2 in the morning and I'm up at 6. So I jump out of the bed and I go and I flick on the light to kill whatever that was.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting off the bed, it's really moving fast, like a slinky, back off the onto the floor. And I have my slipper in hand now, and I'm going to really whack that thing hard.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it. So then I get back into bed, fix all the pillows, everything, and I tell my husband, keep your nightmares to yourself next time.
Yeah. Frick. Okay.
Okay,
You so there was something. You're not that there was actually some weird moving thing that you never found.
never found it. So
I
now the
mean,
next
you
time,
had to sell the house. We're talking. You're talking. You're giving me the impression there was like this thing just slinking freaking big enough for
yeah,
you to consider it a
like a slug or a slinky, it would get small and then stretch out, get small and stretch out as
I
it's
find a
creeping
big
along.
spider that I can't find. That's it. I'm at some like roach motel or something, having the whole place fumigated.
So then
Freaking out.
next time, not long after, my daughter brought home a
Yeah.
stray cat and we named her Midnight. She was pitch black, except for a little white blaze on her chest, like under her chin. The rest of
Hmm.
her was all black. And
Oh,
she would always sleep with my daughter.
yeah. That was her
And
spot.
I'm waking up because I think the cat is coming up on our bed
Hmm.
and it's moving up my leg. And I'm thinking, wow, she's a really big cat. Next thing I know, I'm being straddled. And then I go to grab what I think is the cat and put it on the floor, and I end up fighting whatever it is there. And I'm yelling to my husband, he's sound asleep. I hear the neighbor upstairs saying, oh, somebody's having a nightmare. It's okay. And
She's like
I'm
a
screaming,
living nightmare.
I'm wide awake. And I grab what I think is a wrist, but there's nothing in my hand. And I'm trying to throw it off me. And then I just yell, God help me. And then it left.
Jeez, that's a great story.
It's true. Like I get goosebumps. Like just
Yeah,
oh.
I
So
would I would never sleep in that. I would like just brick that area up and just never go there if that happened. My wife
so
sees like my wife sees ghosts and stuff like that and all sorts of stuff, but she astral travels. Not she doesn't want to, but she's had out of body
yeah,
experiences that
yeah.
freak her out. She doesn't want to do that, and she says there's like a girl over there. Doesn't really cause a problem. More white, lightish, but she had last year. She got these antique Christmas ornaments and stuff like that. That I don't know where they even came from. I think they were from like a house where somebody died and stuff like that. I don't know, like what the hell. So, anyways, she put them on, and there was this like she, she was just walking, I guess, right here in this area here, and there was like this black, shadowy thing, and it went like rah, right up to her, like, and with an aggressive look and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot. People have seen stuff, and it's weird because my wife sees like this shadow man. So she says it looks like he has like a hat, like a old school, like old time, very very
Okay.
tall, maybe 6'8", black shadow, and sometimes there's three of them, and they just stay at the bed, and they just stare kind of thing. Sometimes they move around onto my side of the bed. My wife says, and I told her, I said, well, it could be like sleep paralysis because sleep paralysis is that, in between waking and sleeping, your body does stop moving so that you don't sleepwalk and act out your dreams and stuff like that. That's a mechanism, and you could be in between. And they said if you're in between and experience awake sleep paralysis, you often see like things on your peripherals. But this doesn't sound like that.
No,
And if you
the, the,
look up
next, the next day
adult
and for 3 days, I was really feeling sick. Plus, I had red where my skin was red where it had straddled me. So then I got my friend in and we blessed the house. We went to the church, got some holy water, and blessed the whole apartment.
Mhm.
Opened the windows and blessed everything.
Yeah. And did it work?
We put oil around the window frames and the door frames.
I put salt too, man. I'd be like anything and everything that I stirred up.
But that was really, really bad. That was scary.
Do you have a good
Yeah.
story, Michelle? You know about the shadow people or something? Come on, say something. You have good stories. She's just not. She's too shy to
But
come out.
I'm thinking it's the Wi-Fi and the cell phones, all this electrical stuff is like manifesting stuff.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy, Michelle. When Josiah, my oldest, was a baby. So let's say like it was like this, like our rooms were side by side, and there was an actual door that connected, and so this section, it's hard to have to do with the camera. Anyways, imagine the screen's divided by two, and there's a mirror that's on the wall dividing the two rooms, and the baby's there and we're there. So Michelle, like, thinks she's dreaming kind of thing, and she's there and she looks back, and her body's sleeping, my body's sleeping, and she could kind of hear the baby crying, but kind of like getting smothered, like, in distress,
Okay.
let's say. And the mirror, and she looks through the mirror, and she can see the mirror, like she can see the room there. So she kind of like is sucked through the mirror, and then all of a sudden she's trying to talk and express herself, and she's making baby sounds. So like my witch of a wife just like possessed my own baby. Maybe that's what's wrong with them. So, and now she's trying, and she's like him and trying to scream. So she wakes up and she runs to the room, and yeah, the baby was in distress, was somehow getting like, smothered.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
crazy, crazy stories.
Mother's
Uh,
instincts.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course, like, um, we always have amazing topics on the lives, but it's never anything that the title says. Okay.
No, but
Um,
I'm just happy that God heard me because I don't think I'd be here today.
yeah, I
Because
know.
that was really intense, I tell you.
The thing is that Michelle obviously didn't tell the kids about this like hat man, shadow man kind of thing. So, right? She like, why would you be like, oh yeah, but good night, better watch out for the shadow man, like, so she obviously never told the kids, but Josiah, not knowing any of that, went, what age did he come and tell you that there was like this tall black shadow in his room? He was like 12 or something. 10. Yeah. Yeah, so that's super weird, because that's like, okay, I'm not seeing it. I don't want to see it. I'm super happy that I don't see it. Anyways, but
You
uh,
have a century-old home, right?
hey,
Your
what's
home
that?
is very old, right? It's a century home.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was born. It was maybe in 19th century, 1874. Like
Okay, so you
like
have residual
Darwin.
energy.
Darwin convinced everybody in 1850 that evolution existed. Before, everyone just pretty much thought God created the damn thing. And so 20 years later, 30 years later, so that's it. That's funny too. Evolution has been a concept that is not that old. It really isn't. If you look at I saw a start of a documentary, and I forget what it was, but the beginning was beautiful. It was showing all of these the fathers of science, just all of the history of people that like really were the foundation, and they were all Christian. And what they did was they believed that God had created an intelligent design, that the whole world had logic, wisdom, and order in it, and that we can know the Creator by going out and doing physical science to understand His creation, how it works. That's how it was. Now
But
it's
in
like
school,
it's like,
like
oh,
I told you,
now it's like not scientific to believe in a God, and I don't think that science and and intelligent design are in conflict. Um, wait, I'll just
yeah, but if the teacher doesn't know what they're talking about, they should move on to another subject, no?
yeah, like for me, it's I've seen so many of these debates, and it's not a topic that I have digested enough to be like very fluent. Like, I can talk even about Christianity, certain aspects. I can, like, I'm not reading stuff. I'm like just boom, 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 boom. This I looked at this 15 years ago intensely, but I just watched it, and it gave me, like, it convinced me. I was like, that side of the debate, intelligent design won, and I was extremely surprised about evolution having really just nothing, no real substance. When somebody who knows their stuff on the other side starts going back at them, it all falls apart. And I was shocked about that, and that's always stuck in my head, and it had nothing to do about my belief in God, had nothing to do with Christianity. I didn't start like trying to force this uh, against evolution because now I'm a Christian. It's like, no, 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 this was an issue, and this was something that I came to a conclusion. So I've seen enough to be convinced, but I need to see more to be able to be convincing, to be able to defend my argument. Like, I can't
Yeah,
defend my argument very
that's
eloquently yet. But that's why I'd like to do watching stuff so that my viewers can be watching it at the same time as me. And if we watch together stuff and discuss and panels, everyone can learn, and everyone can come to their own conclusion. And if let's have a debate about a book, but it's like, well, it's much more fun if you're trying to debate and we both read the book, we both heard all the stuff, and now we can kind of talk about it. Hey, remember when that guy was saying that? Well, I don't agree with that, and it's because we have like both sides being presented, and I think we can mix that in and have people on while we're watching. So what I'll do now is I actually do want to get to the actual video, and
yeah,
we can watch it. All right.
right.
All right. Let me share screen. Yeah, I understand, Michelle. Present. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's watch a little bit of this. I'm working without my mouse. Let's do it.
What's the key word in that quotation? Appearance, right? It's the illusion of design. It's the illusion of design. Now, sneak preview, and this is a bit of a preview on tomorrow. It turns out there's a big question that biologists are asking today. And they're asking, well, is adaptation and this variation that's involved in producing adaptation the only evidence of design, or might there be other evidences of design? Another way to think of that is, does the evolutionary process only produce small-scale variations, or can it also explain the large-scale innovations in biological form that occur as documented in the fossil record? Does a nice job of explaining the finch beaks, but can explain the origin of birds, can explain the little changes, but how about the big changes? And there's a very big discussion and debate going on right now in biology and evolutionary biology about that question, about how much creative power does the natural selection process actually possess. That's a little bit of a sneak preview because we'll get into that scientific issue tomorrow. But from the standpoint of understanding the philosophical implications, the worldview implications of Darwinism, it's important to understand that when we talk about Darwinian evolution, we're not just talking about change over time or about even common ancestry. We're talking about an unguided, undirected process that can produce the appearance of design, but not without itself being guided or directed in.
So like even they go as far as to say has the appearance of design. It's like, yeah, it really looks like it's design, guys, but it's just an appearance. It's like, okay.
In any way. So if we have our three meanings of evolution back here, evolution number 3 is the one that's affirmed by sort of the mainstream Darwinian establishment. And as Stephen Jay Gould said, that has materialistic or even atheistic implications. Let's talk a little bit about the philosophical implications of evolutionary theory, because the talk tonight is intelligent design, what it is and why it matters to our worldview and culture. How many people are familiar with the term worldview? Is that okay?
See, that's my thing. That's what I truly see. It's a battle of world view. It's not, people are not coming up with stupid, they're not stupid, our opponents. It's because they're looking and using logic and their rationality through their worldview, and you'll come up with completely different conclusions, and it's really, again, so we're all fighting about these things, but it's like, no, go to the worldview. And if you have the worldview that there is a creator, okay, that creator created all of this that we see with a purpose. You have a purpose and you are made in the image of God. Therefore, as an individual, you are extremely precious, right? And so with this worldview, science can be done because you know that you will see order in whatever you examine. It's kind of like science is not against religion. All of the scientists were extremely theistic, or if not Christian. Just look at them. All of the church, not the church fathers, but the scientific community fathers. It's only this new wave now of materialism and atheism that's invaded the universities. And just like I criticize this, the teachers are being activists now at school. They're not teaching the kids, they're teaching kids worldview. They're trying to brainwash them to have the values and morals and worldview that they want. And that's a manipulation of the worldview. Now, if you believe that nothing created everything from the other worldview, nothing created everything, no real purpose, everything is just by chance, and we're on this little speck, like I had mentioned. There's no God, there's just this life, and when you die, you cease to be. Like that's you'll come to really big different conclusions if you go through that, especially if like evolution step by step. That's why they see abortion. It's like, no, it's not a human. It's like evolution. It's like, well, it's just, a blob of cells now, and it's not a human. It's like, oh, okay. But you can justify that through their worldview. It just takes you on a tangent,
Excellent. I'm going to tell a story, but I'll probably tell it again in church because it's fun. Okay. So if you come to church on Sunday, you'll probably hear the same story again. But when I was in college, when I was heading off to college, I had a conversation with my father. And he's a mechanical engineer. worked in aerospace. He's practical. He can fix things. He doesn't daydream. In other words, he's completely unlike me. And at least I thought so when I was younger. So when he'd be fixing the car, he'd have me, he wanted to teach me. So I'd be standing by and he'd ask me to hand him a wrench and I hand it to him and invariably I'd drop it in the most inaccessible place in the engine and he'd just get so I was not mechanical and I knew I didn't want to be an engineer. And so he said, look, son, I know you're heading off to college. I know you don't want to be an engineer, but you don't have to be an engineer because I always snuck across campus to take a philosophy.
There it goes.
Materialism. So they also sometimes call it naturalism, the idea that nature is all there is and there's nothing beyond nature, as in this picture here, where we have the physical world represented by the mountains and the trees and the pendulum representing the laws of nature. And then materialism, there is no God. There's nothing beyond the material or natural world. And so just going back to the previous slide, and one way to think about materialism as a worldview is to think about the story it tells about reality. If you think of in the Gospel of John, it says, in the beginning was the Word. Or in Genesis, it says, in the beginning. There's an affirmation that the physical world is a created thing that came into existence a finite time ago. But materialism instead says, no, just as you Christians and Jews think that that God is eternal and self-existent and has always been here, the great I am that I am, we think that the physical universe has always been here. It's eternal and self-existent, and therefore it didn't need a creator. So the materialistic story goes something like this. From eternity past were the particles and the energy. And the particles and the energy arranged themselves to become more complex chemicals, and those chemicals arranged themselves to become the first living cells. And those cells then evolved by Darwinian processes to produce all the forms of life we see today. And one of those forms of life, namely human beings, conceived of the idea of God. Okay, do you see how this is a worldview now? This is, because the most important question that every worldview has to answer is, what is the thing or the process of the entity from which everything else came? In Christian theism or Judeo-Christian theism, what's the answer to that question? What is the thing from which everything else came? God. In materialism, what's the thing from which everything else came? It's matter. It's the particles, the energy, okay? You see, you've got two diametrically opposed worldviews. And in the materialistic worldview, there is room for the idea of God, but not God as a reality. That's Freud. You remember him? He said, God did not create man. Man invented the idea of God, okay? So you have these competing worldviews in our culture, but one of them is dominating the university culture, the media, the law schools, the courts, the elite knowledge.
No, I'm telling you, the universities and stuff like that, you look at the, you still there, Margaret?
Yeah, still here.
Yeah, you look at the social sciences and all that. Jordan Peterson, this is like even 10 years ago. It's all become like leftist, definitely leftist. It's all left wing. It's all progressive, liberals, and activists. And they're pushing critical race theory, this anti-racism, which is racism against white people. They're really pushing all of these new ideas out. And look at all the stupid professions now, like gender studies, and it's like, what are you going to do with that? Like, you just went to university and you indebted yourself to have a PhD in gender theory. Like, does that help, for anything? No. It's just become trash. All the school systems now, they're all just really trying to influence and brainwash the youth right now.
But I think they shouldn't mix science with religion. Religion should go with history.
Yeah, but what I'm kind of saying is science and not religion, but the concept of a intelligent designer or something. Like, science can go with there is evidence. If you talk with the PhD mathematician, what's his name? anyways, I forget his name, but I got plenty more also talks with some biophysicists from Oxford just talking about this stuff.
Pastor told me there's a lot of people here with science background or advanced degrees, lawyers, doctors. I think I could have a show of hands, but I bet you recognize this from your experience in higher education. There's a default way of thinking, and it's not necessarily friendly to theistic belief in God. Okay. So we have this dominant worldview. It's coming out of science, or at least it's coming from the perceived message of science. And that helps us to explain a little bit why we have young people losing faith, especially when they go off to university.
Yeah, watch this.
Does that make sense? I have here, I like this slide, the three great prophets of scientific materialism. You have Darwin and Marx in the late 19th century. Darwin tells us where we came from. Marx has a materialistic view of the future, his dialectical materialism. It's a utopian view of the future. It's strictly materialistic in the sense that he thinks that material economic forces are driving everything. And then Freud comes along in the early 20th century, and he tells us what to do about our guilt, what to do about the human condition. Can you see how those three great advocates of scientific materialism would end up advancing a kind of comprehensive worldview? Those three figures answer the basic questions that Christianity and Judaism had always answered. Creation, where we came from, where we're going, eschatology, and what to do about our guilt. Creation, fall, redemption. It's all there, but in a materialistic form. Okay, that's where we are in the elite culture. This materialistic view has
I'll just stop it just so I don't get a strike.
Lots of implications.
So yeah, the tenets of materialism: God does not exist. Man arose gradually from lower animals by mindless, undirected processes. Human beings have no intrinsic value. Free will is an illusion. Like, do you understand why, from this worldview, human beings have no intrinsic value? Margaret?
Shoot.
Hey?
I don't know what he's trying to get at here, but it's all wrong.
No, exactly. But this is the tenets of materialism. When people believe that the only thing that exists is what they can see and touch, right? So here, because if there's no creator that created all of this with a purpose, then that's why the Big Bang happened. Then all the elements and the gases and the space itself for all of the elements to be, expanded. And then it's like we were just, the first simplest life form that we don't even know, a cell. And then, so that's where the question comes. It's like, okay, if we're just further on the evolutionary walk of life, is it wrong? Is it morally wrong for a bacteria or a virus to invade a body and kill someone? Is it morally wrong?
Of course it is.
Well, not really, right? Is that bacteria or virus being morally evil towards you, or is it just doing what the damn thing is created for? It doesn't realize.
But we're both animals.
That's what I'm saying. I'm asking I'm not at the humans yet. I'm just talking about, of course not. It's like bacteria. I mean, there's bacteria in cows. There's bacteria. Some are beneficial, some are not. And when it comes to nature, a bacteria, what it's doing to us or whatever, it's not wrong or right. It's morally neutral. It's just, that's what bacteria do,
Yeah.
Look at animals, right? Same thing. Like, you got a lion that's hungry and it freaking goes after and kills the gazelle, like, alive, just starts eating it while it dies while it's being eaten alive. This is all over the place. It's like, is that tiger morally, has he done something evil or good, right or wrong? No.
Well, he's just doing what he does.
Yeah, no, exactly. And we can go through every single living life form right up to even monkeys and orangutans. Supposedly, it might be, you know, my great-great-grandfather that's in the zoo. So be nice to all monkeys if you go to a zoo, because it might be a relative, right? But it's the same concept. Orangutans are vicious. You know, so animals rape each other. You know,
No, they
technically.
don't.
Well, you know what I mean? An animal can force itself. They do weird stuff. Penguins friggin' cannibalize each other. So people have It's just they do all sorts of what we. But you can't say it's morally right or wrong. It's just, and that's where we get nature. It's just natural. That's what they're doing. They're not good. They're not evil. But all of a sudden now you got us and the atheists. They have to say you're just an animal. You're no better. We have bigger brains. We're more complex, whatever. But they still put us in the same category. They say there's no God, that, you know, there's the Big Bang, that there's evolution, and now we're here, and all of this death and fighting and conquering all the way was not morally right or wrong. It was natural selection. What's natural selection? Another word for that: the survival of the fittest, right? The weak eat the strong. And that has been quoted by the World Economic Forum through this worldview, that they consider that they are the fittest. This whole like natural processes of them gaining and networking, and hey, they're the
Yeah, but
global
they're living in an illusion.
right? But what is fueling what they're going to try and do is because they don't believe in God, because they're materialism. Okay,
Or
they
they're
think
Satanists.
that man gradually arose from animals. So they think that we're we're animals, our species, but that somehow they're like the alpha animals, and they're in a position evolutionarily wise, now that we're intelligent, to take hold of all of humanity, okay? Because they are in power. It's just the survival of the fittest. They have had naturally selected things, and everyone's natural selection has put them in different positions here. And if through their worldview, it is right to start eliminating stuff, and it's a moral right. That's where Hitler gets exterminating the Jews. You know, he through his worldview, he was like, no, we have to rid them of the world of this. And we see this, you know, through materialism. The eugenics program that happened in the early 20th century, when people who had low IQ were sterilized, people who were Down syndrome, any of the things. So they were not allowing anybody who had something, even intelligence, to breed. And that way, it's kind of like doing with animals to get show animals. You 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 keep on breeding just the best qualities, because that's what they said natural selection is. You know, together, something's more beneficial, and that's kind of what we do to breed dogs and stuff. So they want to do that. They want to breed characteristics that are dominant in certain people and have them procreate and sterilize and eliminate those that are not up to par. That's what the Spartans did in a way too. They had a eugenics program where they threw babies that weren't perfect, kind of thing. So they believe now that free will is just an illusion. So this free will is just an illusion. This is why every bad quality now that humans can portray is an illness. Okay, a child who is rebellious and disobedient, okay, is no longer rebellious and disobedient. He has defiance disorder. He is a victim. Okay, so now we have to work with him. We have to do all these psychological. Well, you know what? When you come to tell him something, because you know you're the authority. Well, if he's angry, he's allowed to turn around, because he needs to go calm his nerve. What the hell? Sit your ass down. This is bullshit
Right.
psychology. Um, So objective morality is an illusion. So objective means, okay, this is a Christian believer. There's the 10 Commandments. God is moral. He has given us morality. It's a sin to go against morality. And therefore, there are absolute rights and wrongs. There is good and bad that can be expressed. And they say, no, this is just an illusion. That because obviously they've denied that there's a moral law giver. So they look around and they go, no, it's based on people, culture, and stuff like that. So the minute that an atheist says that morality is in a way relative, it's not objective, that it can be subjective. This is where our society is going now. See, we used to all, okay.
No, is that
What time is it
Do you
now?
want me to call down?
No, I'll be finished before that.
Okay.
1 hour and 11 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, what were we talking about? Free will is an illusion. Objective morality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It tells us
see.
that God does not exist, obviously, that man arose gradually by.
So what I'm saying is they're going to say everything's subjective, and there's no real absolutes and objective truth, objective morality, and stuff like that. So this is where you'll get people deciding their own morality, and then asking us to affirm their morality because it's just relative. So what the hell happens if everything's relative? Now you have your truth and I have my truth. You can make, you know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Life has no ultimate purpose, and it's true. It's like, I don't know, there was an explosion. Anyways, it's been 15 billion years existed. Like initially there was like just cells and stuff like that, and things evolved, and our closest relatives are these freaking monkeys, the ones that are always like jacking off and like eating and flinging their poop. It's like you're subconsciously telling them that, you know what, you're just a freaking animal. You're just like the animal kingdom. It's just that you're smarter than them, and we've dominated them, because we have bigger brains, and that's the only thing. We're not special. So if a vegan is claiming that, because just ask a vegan, you go like, is killing a cow like morally equivalent to murdering a neighbor here? And they will say yes. And you'll hear them often say, we're just animals. And then you say to yourself, okay, so if animals do this, they don't ask the female when she's in heat. I mean, he decides, he doesn't ask, he doesn't bring her out on a date. Okay. They kind of do some rough sex thing going over there. Animals eat their own babies for some reasons. Sometimes the goat will leave the baby goat, and just walk away. Like, animals do this. So if you're telling me that animals are equivalent to me in intrinsic value and dignity, then why are you putting more accountability onto me? I come from the stars, stardust, primordial soup. I was a fish. And what? Because we're more complex and we're overthinking things, it's stupid. We understand why we are different. That though we have a body that is physical and part like animal, our vehicle's animal, but the consciousness inside, the ghost driving the machines is very, very different. Our spirit and our soul. We don't have an animal spirit. It's different than us.
So
But
if I had the guts to go to wherever Schwab is and take him, unalive him, then I could say, well, life has no ultimate purpose when I'm in court. Therefore, when we die, we rot. Right?
yeah, exactly.
And
This
I wouldn't
is
go to
what
prison, right?
you go to university. This is what every single university professor wants to ingrain. They want this on your mind and heart. God doesn't exist. Man just came from lower animals, and this was actually by freaking chance. It's just mindless, undirected processes. So, you know what? In a way, human beings have no more value than a bacteria just because we're more complex and we can contemplate more things. Um, Free will is really an illusion, and that's the idea that we're just a biological sack of flesh, and we're an algorithm and stuff like that. So the minute that free will is an illusion, then your individuality is lost. It's like it's as if like they think we're robots, automatons,
Right.
thinking we're making decisions. Objective morality is an illusion. Life has no ultimate meaning. You'll listen to all the atheists and they'll say, well, no, you can have meaning in life because you know that like once you die, that's it. You cease to exist. So you appreciate every moment. I'm like, okay, it might be true. But like, then what's the meaning of all this? What's the purpose? And we know if we are theists, the purpose that we were created for a purpose that he wanted to create us. But for them, it's like, well, there's no ultimate purpose. It's like, you know, look back, look how tiny that speck, that little blue speck is. Okay. Well, it goes, billions of light years in all directions. And you're sitting there thinking you're the center of the universe. I mean, that's what the kids come from. They don't come with, you know what? It doesn't matter how unjust life's going to treat me, how bad people are going to treat me, the injustice, the crises, the hardships of life. It doesn't matter. I believe that there's a God and that there's a purpose to life, and go through it. But if you don't have that and life just starts smacking you down and there's no God that exists, and a family member, your sister gets raped, and your mom gets cancer. They always say that, right? Like, if there was a God, why would babies get cancer? You hear that often. But the thing is that, like, if you follow the Christian narrative, okay, we were in paradise. None of this sickness, suffering, disease, none of this none of this was what he created, and this is not where he's going to leave it. The front Revelation, you got Eden and is restored. So you got Genesis, you're in the paradise. You got Revelation, you're back in paradise. So do not blame God for the middle section of crap that was created by pretty much our disobedience and our continued disobedience. And he's fixing that through this history. Boom. To return to that. So there's no criticism. Atheists that criticize, especially a Christian, challenging his God and saying, well, you believe in God, then why would God give a baby cancer? And we would say, you know what, that is because of the fall. We have a fallen nature. We are dying in our sins, and this is a fallen world that God promised will have a new heaven and a new earth. And actually, we don't even have to do that much. God, in the form of the Word of God, descends and incarnates into Jesus and actually does all the work. And then he's just
Right.
sitting back saying, all you got to do, is be on my side, and I'll help you out too. But
From lower
My daughter.
animals by
do you
mindless.
have something to say before I start it?
Yeah, my daughter died of of brain cancer in 1991.
No, exactly. It's like everybody before had the worldview, well, the West at least, a Christian worldview. They understood why innocent people die, why disease and decay and suffering. It's like the Bible says we ate the apple of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The minute that it wasn't an apple, but ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. What happens with that? that is a symbol of them entering a different metaphysical state that is different from how they were in Eden. Angels come down in physical form, but they do not have physical form when they're in heaven. So it's like the paradise is like this, it's not like it's just that it changed, they said, because the animals started there was a digestive change. There's something really metaphysically different. Like we entered a different matrix where we are now, and we will be back. So for me as a Christian, it's like, well, I truly believe that. So there's nothing anyone can do in this world to me or to my loved one. I could lose everything, and I could never blame God. And that's the power. The power is not blessings. There's tons of people that are godly and have never been blessed. They've had the hardest life. But for me, it's like I'm complaining. It's hard, but it's not destroying me. All of the stuff that's happening in my life, it's like I'm like I've already kind of given up on this life. I've let it go in a way. I'm enjoying it. I'm going through, but I know none of this matters in the end. My reputation, my career, all of this, my debates on here, everything goes. But what's eternal is spiritual, and
Right.
and that I believe is through suffering. So everyone in this world now they're talking about suffering to the point where if you don't affirm with the use of certain words, this could lead to suicide. But the Christian Bible
I
tells
asked
you
the priest
tells you
I had asked the priest, why does this always happen, even to the best of us? And he said to me, God will bestow that upon you because he knows that you will survive it and overcome it.
exactly. And the most difficult, painful, humiliating, um, ego shattering things that have happened, mostly because my own disobedience to my conscience, just doing what I wasn't supposed to, were the most healing things that made me evolve. Like the darkest times in my life is where after getting through it was the most inner evolution, inner wisdom gained and stuff like that. So the Christian welcomes suffering. I mean, read like suffering Christian Bible verses,
Yes, because once we
and it says
surpass it, then
it
we could
builds
teach it to
character.
others.
Suffering builds character, builds patience, builds empathy, builds perseverance. And it's a strength.
Well,
Now
I have
in
to
this,
say, you and Garland Farms have the greatest patience, because if I had been there in person, I would have cuffed them in the back of the head. Say, what are you
yeah,
thinking?
no, I think Garland has more patience. I'm more patient than you for sure, probably. And I have some patience, but I'm not in my zone either. Like the vegan stuff, like I was doing some vegan stuff because I had to justify where all the nutrients were and stuff like that. And it was more diet and keto. So I haven't been like, Garland has been doing this for for a decade or something,
Yeah.
watching these vegans, everything that they say, looking it up, statistics, making videos. I mean, so I can defend myself, but
Who knows what they're going to say before
yeah,
they open their
there's
mouth?
still stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still stuff I need to learn. I have enough to justify the morality of eating animal food. I can still debate veganism, but when it comes to all of the environmental stuff, there it's very hard, because then you get into the climate science, and I know that the food science is shit. Sorry for swearing, is crap. I know that observational studies, making claims, and it's so many variables, so many biases are there. Now I'm going to assume that that's corrupt like that, but that the other sciences and stuff like that aren't doing the same damn thing. They're pushing.
Undirected processes, that human beings have no intrinsic value, We're not made in the image of God. We don't have special value because God has deemed us unique among his creation. Free will is an illusion because we're governed by strictly materialistic forces, external environment or neurophysiology, nature, nurture.
Yeah, that's Karl Marx. He was big on that. I mean, to a certain extent, yes, our outside environment can mold and influence us. You know, it's like if you're in a violent, drug-filled community and stuff like that,
Right.
that will press upon you, and you can be molded through that. But it's not that simple. But I remember I did a university course, and there was Marxism in it. So the universities are just riddled with Marxism, which is really weird.
Objective morality is also an illusion because there is no source for any objective standard that's implied in all moral propositions. Life has no ultimate purpose because there's no purposive creator behind the universe.
The best I've heard an atheist say is the meaning of life is to find meaning. It's very deep. So I guess what they mean is that, find something you're passionate about and the pursuit of happiness, I guess, because they know it, when it's done, and they're fine with that. And they're fine knowing that their offspring one day will cease to exist, and they're fine with that idea, and they can still have happiness inside this world. Now, this is I just want to talk about Christianity briefly because of that. So again, there is something called annihilationism, or it's called conditional immortality. And the whole Bible strictly says that the penalty of sin is death, that they will be destroyed, that they will perish. And what I'm trying to say here is that judgment will come to us all. Even Christians will be judged. Christians may be able to get into the new heaven and new earth, but they might be very low, meaning they might be judged by Jesus and said, all of this stuff that you did, okay, you didn't follow me. So it's like they get in from the skin of their teeth kind of thing.
Right.
If you're talking about it, but and Jesus knows people's heart. There's plenty of professing Christians that are not Christians, and they'll be called out for that. And then you have the people on the left, and they're equal to the people on the right. There's no one better or no one worse. We've all sinned, a lot daily in our thoughts, in our words, in our, we're all screwed. It's just that Christ is willing to pay the price for it. Now, it says that these people will be judged, and it doesn't seem like it's one judgment for everybody, because there's allusions in the Bible, in the New Testament to those who forgive much will be forgiven much, those who forgive little. So there are definitely degrees. But what I'm saying is, with conditional immortality, is there is some kind of judgment that occurs, but in the end, these people cease to be. They perish. They are destroyed. And it says that it's eternal punishment. Yeah, it's a punishment, meaning you cease to be, and it's eternal, and that's our punishment. And did it say eternal punishing? No, it doesn't say. It says eternal salvation. Does that mean that Jesus is eternally saving you, or that your salvation is eternal? It's forever. So they use words to say, and it gives the impression, because we've heard it in the culture over and over and over, that hell, people that don't believe in Jesus, they go to hell, and they burn for eternity consciously. Yet it's not. There's 2 or 3 verses that, if you look deeper into, especially where you have to go to the Greek original manuscripts and stuff like that, and break down word per word in the original manuscripts. And it's not true. It's illusions. And there are times where they use hyperbole, like with Sodom and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah, it said, and the smoke and its smoke and ashes, will rise forever. It's not forever. It's just to mean a dramatic destruction where it's leveled and it'll smoke, and that's it. So there's a few that make it look like it could be conscious torment, but overall, it says one of them, don't fear man who can destroy your body. Fear him who can destroy both your body and soul in hell. And it's like, that's it. They say, Jesus talked about hell 12 times. He talked about it a lot. No, he talked about Gehenna. He was always talking about the people being cast into Gehenna, which was a burning dump where they put dead
Yes,
carcasses.
garbage where they set it on fire.
Yeah, it was constantly smoking, constantly on fire. There was constantly maggots there. And he used stuff like they will burn away like chaff. What happens with that? That's not eternally. That's just like, boom, it's done.
Gone forever.
So I've done videos, on that. So believing in intelligent design, and basically, I'm a Christian, but I profess conditional immortality. That it's not that he's sending you to hell. It's that
But like they
he,
say here at the bottom, excuse
he,
me, when
yeah,
we die, we rot. Yes, the
the
body
body,
does,
yeah,
but not the spirit, not the soul.
exactly, right. But materialism don't believe in the body or the soul. But if you think of it, this is the God. This is my God. Okay, so he created through his word. Okay, so the whole, I'm an image of God. So you know what? I can think, hey, I want to build a shed in the summer. I'm going to build a shed. Right away, there's a desire, there's a thought. The thought, it's almost complete, the image in my head. And then after, I actually have to what? I have to write a blueprint for it. I still have to be organized. And I'm going to have to go over there, DNA code. I'm making a plan because I'm an intelligent designer, right? So here I am, make the plan. Then I have to go make the matter. I got to get all the material. And then after I have to follow that plan to build it, right? So there's processes that occur, right? But it's actually quite quick, as that we can do this quite quick. We don't need billions and billions and billions and billions of years. The billions and billions and billions and billions of years, okay, are there just so that it can explain that you can't see any of our theory right now. But if I put billions a year and say it happened a long time ago, it'll make sense. And it does not make sense. They say nothing created a something. Okay. Instead of saying, well, maybe something created something, nothing created everything. Well, maybe not someone, but something created everything. That can be proven also scientifically. And it's a scientific law that life comes from life. Abiogenesis, okay, is that life comes from something that's non-living. Well, we've never seen that. It's just their theory is actually quite weak when you get into it.
And when we die, we rot. There can be no hope of an afterlife because the only thing that exists is matter. And when our matter decomposes, we're done. That's the worldview. Any of those propositions resonate with any people you know? Any leading thought figures?
What he's saying is this is not atheism. This is, philosophy and stuff, and the view of materialism. And their view comes up with these conclusions. But because of this materialism being taught in the universities, God-believing students get bombarded with this and get challenged and harassed with it, and they lose their faith and they become materialism. And this worldview, okay, leads to what we're seeing, the increased suicide, the abortions, the assisted suicide, all of this stuff, okay, the degeneration that we're seeing. I can show in Russia, okay, an old people I quoted before Russia became communist and stuff like that. They looked and the guy wrote that in my time, I was young, but I remember the older people in the community always saying, this is happening because we have turned from God, right? You know, we have turned from God, and this is why it's happening. And if you look through history, you'll see that the minute that people become completely atheistic, they become their own gods, and they start, you know, and this is what we're seeing, you know, with different words being called. Go ahead, Margaret, say what you got to
I
say.
read that things are changing now. People are going to church more.
There is hopefully a revival. I guess that could be like, you know, they say in the end times, like when God starts like separating the goats from the sheep, meaning like it's not so apparent. It wasn't so apparent in, you know, the 16th century, 17th century, you know, but now all of a sudden it's extremely apparent. You can see the polarization, you know. I mean, there used to be a Republican and a Democrat party, but it was never so divided. It's like it's almost like there are two groups of people, and it's like it's the sheep and the goat, you know. And there's a worldview that is theistic at the very least, maybe not Christian, but theistic. And then you have the atheists and the materialists, and they own the universities. So any science that is being done through materialism. And just what do they do with the fake nutritional science, Margaret? Right? Fat is not bad, cholesterol is not bad, right? Seed oils aren't good. And you have all these nutritional science coming out that seed oil is better than saturated fat, lowering animal fat. This is science. So why wouldn't we expect that these universities are possessed by an ideology of materialism and atheism that is being pushed, that through that lens changes the morality conclusions that they come up with? So it's
Yeah,
moral
but
to,
next week, science will come out with something totally different again.
well, you know, it's coming to the point again where they're going to say that there's no intrinsic value in human beings. The only value is humanity, right? Screw the individual. You know, it's as if like, hey, you're in the hospital and the World Economic Forum's the doctor, and they want to take over all your body, but you're just a cell there. They don't care about the cell. They care about the body, and they want to be in control of the body, you know. So that's the way, you know, they view us. So we're dispensable. We have no intrinsic value from their worldview, and what they're going to do is they are going to think that they are moral by controlling us. They're like, no, you know, human beings should be eating this stuff. No, human beings shouldn't be knowing about this stuff. We're going to block that, and we're going to tell them through the universities this and everything. You know, it's like, yeah, we do live in a matrix of lies, and in a way, like simulation theory, like Patrick likes. Uh, it's true. Like we're walking through so much deception. It's like reality is so clouded at the moment. We can't even define men and women anymore, or we refuse to. Why? It's for morality. You see how like you leave objective morality, you leave the Judeo-Christian moral law, the Ten Commandments. You and you look at what Jesus said, that the first four or the first six are completed. When Jesus, they had asked him, they were trying to trap him, like, what's the most important commandment? And That's what Jesus said. He said the most important commandment, I'm paraphrasing, is to love God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul, and to obey his commandments. And the second law that completes the rest is to treat others the way you would want to be treated. Well, they don't want to treat others the way they want to be treated. They will treat all these people like cattle, and they will treat themselves the way they want to be treated. And they're not. So they're breaking all of the moral laws. And
They're
because
like
they've
them on
broken
the bottom
a
of their
single
shoe.
moral law, then they're able to create their own, not objective morality, but subjective morality. So if we look at this over here, am I still screen sharing? Margaret?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No, I'm still screen sharing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When I have the share screen, I don't see it. So
All right.
sometimes I'll just want to see the 10 Commandments. 10 Commandments. How the hell hard is that? I just want the 10 Commandments, guys. How hard is that? I'll go to images. Jeez, I thought it would be like really easy to see and big.
Moses.
Yeah. 10. Jeez. There you go. Now I have to literally like try and read it off of tablets. Give me a break. Here you go. All right. So here, let's say we actually have a God, okay, that literally, worked with a guy, Moses, and appeared to a certain extent to him, communicated to him, told him to write down this, and said, for now, these are the 10 Commandments that you have to follow. So I am the Lord your God. You shall have no strange gods before me. So our culture, forget about it. Okay. And if you look at the music industry and Hollywood and stuff like that, not only like they don't acknowledge God, but they'll dress up in Satan. Have you seen the last Samsung
Yes.
videos,
Yes.
stuff like that? There's tons of satanic mocking and stuff and worshiping. So our society has completely turned our back away from the first one. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Forget about that. All right. Remember to keep the Lord to keep holy the Lord's day. So that's the Sabbath, which is the Saturday. One thing I don't like is that the
Some
Catholics.
is Friday, some is Saturday, some is Sunday, but as long as you keep a day.
Yeah, so I'm fine with going to church on a Sunday, because in the New Testament, God also says, that all days are holy, kind of thing. Because really these important Jewish festivals that they had were actually foreshadows of what Jesus would do. So each one was an image. They didn't realize it, but each one is an image. All their festivals. So they were pointing to the Messiah, Jesus. Once Jesus arrived, okay, he said, you can enjoy those festivals, but they used to be commandments. Like God was like, you will obey and honor this festival. You have to go, it was a sin not to. Now it's not a sin if you do it or not, because those were what we call typologies. They're foreshadowings, or they're stuff that in retrospect, after you look at the New Testament, you look back and you kind of see Jesus in the Old Testament. But that takes a while, because you really have to have read the New Testament multiple times. Then after, you have to go through the Old Testament. But if you want to go through the Old Testament, then before reading the chapter, you watch lectures on Genesis, and you listen and listen, so that when you get to the let's say Genesis chapter, you have more depth and content, because some of that stuff is freaking boring and dry. and repetitive. And you're going to try and start it and you're going to just drop it. And especially when it gets into Levitical law and specific setups. But when you learn about the tabernacle, which was basically the temple that they were carrying around, it was a tent. It's like they say all this stuff and it means nothing. But in retrospect, if you study all of, the specific things, the menorah, the showbread, all these setups were actual symbols of what Christ did. But even the whole temple is a story of him sacrificing his blood in the Holy of Holies. It goes really deep. But yeah, but you have to read the damn Bible. And a lot of Christians, they just don't, and they don't do it in an orderly way. You can understand the New Testament just by reading the New Testament, but the Old Testament, when you get into the prophets and stuff, it's like, whoa. You need big context, because some of those prophets are talking about things that already happened
Right.
to Israel. It was like warning, like you've left you've turned your back and you've went to other gods, and now your God will send blah blah, and it happens. But if me and you start reading it, we're like, oh, okay, is this going to happen? I don't know. So what I did was I did Chuck Missler. And what I did with Chuck Missler is he has 360 lectures going through the Bible step by step. And I went through all of that. And then you find another credible guy, and you just binge watch those guys. And that's how you can really, advance. And the New Testament, it's like, I used to okay, no, I love the Old Testament because Jesus is there. He's everywhere. He's there as the Word of God that appears to the patriarchs. He's there as the Son of Man in Daniel's vision. He's one like the Son of God. It's just you see him everywhere. And then that's when people say like, oh, you have faith. They assume it's called blind faith. No, you don't. Everyone has faith. Anybody who says I trust science is you have faith in science. It's like, hey, have you done the science yourself? No. Okay, so you're trusting the academics. You have faith in them. So you have faith in the science, the evidence that science has produced. You have faith in the priest that wrote it. You have faith in the institution. So everyone has faith in stuff. Everyone has a worldview. A lot of people have a materialistic, scientific worldview, but they'll use the word faith to Christians, and it's like, no, faith just means trust. So if I start seeing that Jesus is all over in the Old Testament, and I start researching just to make sure that is it proven when this was written, I'm like, wow, this is like a thousand years before. This is what gives me trust, more and more trust. When I became a Christian, I had a lot less faith than I do now, because I'm researching and I'm trying to debunk myself. And it's like, well, what if somebody asked me that? What would I say? Where is that? I'm always trying to go deeper and deeper, into it to test it, because I don't like gray zones. After honor your father and your mother. I mean, it is disgusting the way children are now. It's horrible. It's a
Yeah, but
generation.
kids today are thrown up. They're not brought up. There's no guidelines. Both parents are working.
Yeah.
They come home
Yes.
and they're tired
No.
and give the kids some
Yeah.
money, go whatever.
I call me sexist. I don't care. But the woman's ideal place is in the home raising children. And the man's ideal place is going out and making money. Can women go and compete with men? Yes. But for feminists to convince mothers that is enslavement, that you are being controlled by the patriarchy, you should go out and compete because you can be like a man. It's like, yeah, okay, good. You convinced them to do that. And now there's nobody raising their children. Like you're not imprinting yourself. You're not watching the kid one-on-one a kid looking over at you, to see if you're looking. Like they've done studies in Nazi Germany, very unethical, but they took twins, babies. They gave one baby everything it needed. It would change the diapers and fed it, but that's all it did. They spent no attention, never gave. Oh, it needs to eat. Here you go. Okay, diapers, boom. And the other one, they adored. They gave attention to and stuff, and they looked at the brain development, and it's proven that the brain will not develop as much, and that that child will be severely messed up. And they've created a society economically where both parents need to, right? We freaking need to. This is my issue right now. Me and my wife work. My wife works in clinical research, and and she lost her job, and we got screwed over by the system, and the insurance dumped us because doctors are idiots. They didn't fill out papers right. We got basically like a royally screwed, economically, because in this life you need two salaries. They've set it up that way. And then the feminist movement is like, you can do what a man does. You can do what I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out. Okay. Daycare's popped up now. It's like, okay, kid's going to go there, packed in like cattle. You think that person's giving your kid one-on-one attention, that there's a difference between your eyes beaming at your own child, or in our case, our granddaughter, and just sucking up, there's a big difference. And parents don't do that. It's freaking phones. It takes away that, and it's creating harm. I really believe that. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. Give me a break. This now there's apps for committing adultery. They are spitting on marriage. They are encouraging polyamory. They're like, marriage is like white supremacy and it's the patriarchy. So now you have a bunch of look on TikTok. You got a bunch of girls now that are so fed up now of guys just using them for sex. It's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. Now there's a new fad that came out. Okay, listen to this. It's called a tran wife. Yeah, a tran wife, and it's short for traditional wives. So now on TikTok, now there's these wives, and now there's these women that are like, you know what? Screw that. I want to have a husband, and I want him to go work, and I want to take care of the children. I want supper made. And people are so pissed off. People are enraged about this trend now. And it's like, the most important job is the first years of a child, and the mother has hormones, estrogen, that make them exceptionally maternal, and these mother instincts. It's different there. I'm not saying that a father can't be a single father raising a child, but it's not optimal. And men and women are different in that relationship. And at the start, the man doesn't take a dominant role. The man is the helper of the mother, and the mother is everything to the child. She supplies everything, and the father is there to help the mom. His role becomes more important as the child gets older. But the most important is, you can't say it's not ideal, is to have a mother, a loving mother. This is their child. I'm just here with my granddaughter, and it's like I've already imprinted myself onto her. This ain't strangers staring at it. And society has created, two parents have to work. That's feminism. They've created this, which has screwed me included, everybody up.
My son went through that with my daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
The youngest one, when she turned 3, she decided, okay, I'm going up to work. And my son was like, well, no, I'm working. You don't have to work. We have enough.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going out to work. It's boring at home.
Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm not like, what I'm saying is that nuclear family, okay, there's nothing better than a mother that should spend these years breastfeeding. I mean, some people breastfeed like 2-3 years. There's this bond with the mother that should not be interrupted. It should be maximized. So it's just natural that men would say, do that. I'm here also to help you out, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to bring back resources so that you can concentrate on the most important thing, is giving attention to your child. And now they've convinced that a man who wants a woman to stay home and raise the kids is toxic masculinity. They're completely delusional. And for me, that's not sexist. To me, that is the most important job ever, more than a heart surgeon. Heart surgeon, fine. He fixes a heart. Well, you know what? The guy's old, he's had it life. But a mother is there for the child, imprinting the values and stuff like that. Our children
Right.
are just scattered to daycares, put on tabs. Now they want to do Zooms for children. It's destroying them, you know. But anyways, look at all this. Look at what society has done. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor the goods. Now, if you look, that's what Jesus said. He said, the first four here, 1, 2, 3. The first three over here, you can see it's honor God, right? It's like, I'm the God, your Lord, so don't put any other God before me. Do not curse me, and remember, my holy days. The rest here is love others the way, treat others the way you would want to be treated, right? This one is very sad and scary because as a child, if you cannot honor your parents, it will be extremely hard for you to ever submit and honor, God. That's why you have to break that into the kids young. There's nothing wrong with breaking in good habits into kids,
Right.
right? So it's like they have everything basically a bit backwards, in my opinion. Let's watch a little bit more. We'll watch a little bit more, and then after we can, because there's some really cool stuff I want to show, and I think I might have to leave. Damn, it's 10:50.
Yeah.
I think my wife. But anyways, guys, I want you to check out then. Share screen. It was still a good stream. It was interesting. We went a little bit here, a little bit there, eh? Go to watch this one, The Tenets of Materialism, Intelligent
Okay.
Design. And there's also another one that I watched. And what I'm trying to do is not watch one video, make a claim, and off we go on to something else. For me, I want to dig into this with you guys more often and watch these lectures and debates, have people pop up, and let's come to a conclusion and let's find out who's on which side. This can be really interesting and interactive, in my opinion.
But that JP, I hope it doesn't have another one with JP. That really gets under my skin.
So I gotta go pick them up.
Okay.
All right, love you. I'll go pick them up. Bye. I just want to show one thing before we go. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah, I want to show you. What the hell is thing here? Sorry, guys. Where's the damn history on this thing? You can tell I have my granddaughters.
She's a cutie.
Oh, she is. We don't want to show her too much on this toxic social media there, but
No.
where is the more of the history? Is it a see all somewhere? Oh, there. So watch the one that I just showed you here.
Right.
But the one I was watching on the way home is this one.
Oh no, Bill Nye? No, no.
Okay. You guys see this one?
No,
I just
I haven't.
you see it though? Did
I
pop
see
it
it.
up?
Yeah, it's on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's where this one I'm half through it, and yeah, this one's really good. But there's one with John Lennox.
I see that name a lot.
Yeah. It's stupid because I had the damn thing on my history. Showing everybody what I watch, eh? Bill Nye, what a douche.
Oh, that Bill Nye. I saw him with those weird trans people, and that was
Yeah, it's this one.
disgusting.
Yeah, it is this one.
Second is what's sometimes called the cultural Big Bang.
So
It's got a, blade, it's got a motor.
Notion here. One last question. The first dinosaurs, the first birds.
Darwin versus Einstein. Einstein publishes
just to
Who's
show you who
dead?
these guys are.
God or Charles Darwin. Michael Behe, a biochemist. John Lennox, a mathematician. Stephen Meyer, a geophysicist. Filming today in Fiesole, Italy.
Okay, so it's just a show, okay? These guys
Okay.
have PhDs, they're freaking mathematicians, they're physicists, okay? These people do not believe in evolution, okay? And they are professors and they are famous. So the idea that the science is settled on evolution and things like that, no, it's not. And we, there literally are teachers that are so religious about their atheism and stuff like that and evolution that they will speak deceptively to push what they believe is the truth. And I've seen, I mean, right down to the last video, a guy saying like, it's like my appendix, it's useless, it's from evolution. It's like, seriously? I hope that you're not like studying in university, because the appendix has a use. It's not just some vestigial organ. All right, so I'm gonna have to end it here, guys, but we're not done,
Thank
because
you.
I do want to watch these two, and we're gonna comment on these videos. All right, have a good one.
Take care. Drive
Thanks a lot,
safe.
Margaret. Yeah, see you guys. JD has the patience of a jaw. Hey, resting bitch face. Sorry, guys, I didn't read really the comments much. Just going through the comments there. I think our human ancestors were a higher creature that bred with the humanoid animal creatures that were already here. I think maybe we should make inspiration booklets very easy with desktops. Garland Farms is really patient. Uploading an important video to my page regarding animal agriculture. Okay, guys, go to Resting Bitch Face's YouTube channel and check her videos. Please subscribe. Press notifications. We should press each other's notifications so that when one of us pops on, we can join. Hey, Darla. JD has the patience of Job. He has far more kindness for this nonsense than I do. Yeah, I get that feeling. I want you to be his partner on the debates. All right, that's it. Have a good one, guys. God bless.